All right, so now we'll learn a Mishnah. We're in the second chapter in the Mishnayot in Pesachim. We're preparing ourselves a little bit for the holiday of Pesach. Kol Shah, all the time, shemuter lechol, that it's permissible to eat chametz, ma'achil, you can feed labahema, to the animals, lechaya, to the undomesticated animals, and laofos, and to birds. We'll go and explain all this. Umochro, and you can sell it, lenachri, to a non-Jew, umutar bahanato. This is generally, it's permissible to get pleasure from it. This is sort of the generality, which includes all the previous that we said. Okay, what's going on? We said before that it is forbidden to eat chametz from the Torah 6 hours before Passover begins. 6 hours before the holiday begins, it is forbidden to eat and even to own chametz. But the rabbis tacked on a little bit of time. They tacked on another hour. Or some people say they tacked on for 2 hours. 2 hours, they made it forbidden to eat chametz. And some say that well, this is what the argument is going to be. Some say there's also a period where it is forbidden to eat chametz, but you can get pleasure from the chametz. In other words, it's going to be, according to one opinion, we'll see, it's forbidden. There's going to be a time when it's forbidden to eat chametz, but you can still feed it to your animals or use it in some way, sell it to a non-Jew. Sell it to a non-Jew. Some people say that no, it's not so. That all the time that it's forbidden to eat chametz, it's also forbidden to use chametz. You can't get any use of it. So let's see what this means. Let's go. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Ein bir chametz." The only way that you can destroy chametz is by means of burning it. And the rabbis say, "Af mafara v'zorea l'ruach umatil biyom," that you can also throw it. You can also throw it into the sea, or throw it to the winds, and etc. We're not worried. What's the problem over here? Chametz is a very strange prohibition. It's forbidden to get any pleasure from it. Not everything in the Torah that's forbidden is to eat is forbidden to get pleasure from. Right? For instance, if you slaughter a cow improperly, and that cow is treif, you can sell it to a non-Jew. If you happen to have you find a dead fox, something like that, you can strip it and use the skin from it. It's forbidden to eat, but it's permissible to use. Right? There's not that many things in the Torah that are forbidden to get pleasure from. Get pleasure from. Usually only those things that it says expressly that it's forbidden to get pleasure from is it forbidden. There's a big argument in the Gemara exactly on this topic. But let's say for our purposes, well, one of the things that is forbidden not only to eat, but even to get any use from, any pleasure whatsoever, you can't feed it to your dog, you can't use it as fertilizer in your garden, you can't get any pleasure whatsoever from it. You can't give it away to a non-Jew because maybe he'll be beholden to you to return the good. You gave him a nice big cookie or something. Maybe he'll think that it has to give you in the end a nice cookie or something. So therefore, you can't get any pleasure from it. It's very strange. So therefore, they made the distance a person from chametz, right? The distance a person, you have to keep away from it. So some people say that even though that the time it's forbidden to eat and get pleasure is 6 hours before, but some people say, let's push it even 7 hours before it's forbidden to eat. And some people say, no, let's make it 8 hours before it's forbidden to eat. And the 7th hour before, 7 hours before, you can't eat it, but you can't get pleasure from it. So this Mishnah is going according to the opinion that's saying No, it's only 6 hours, and all the time when you can eat, you can get pleasure. But as soon as you can't eat anymore, you can't get any more pleasure. We'll see when the Rabbi Yehuda says you want to get rid of the chametz. It's forbidden to get any pleasure from it. You have to burn it, so there's no way anybody can get pleasure from it. The Chachamim say you don't have to necessarily be so crazy about avoiding getting pleasure. You can also spread it to the wind or something like that. If a bird eats it, it's a big deal. It's no problem. You're not getting any pleasure from it. Or throw it in the sea. So what if a fish eats it? The fish is going to get, you're giving pleasure to a fish. Our Mishnah, let's go to the explanation. Our Mishnah is talking about chametz, Erev Pesach. From what time is it forbidden in pleasure? And how to get rid of it. All the time that it's permissible to eat chametz, Erev Pesach, you can give it to your animal and to your chay yo'ofa. And the Gemara explains that this is going according to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, he has an opinion like this, that he says that, again, from the Torah, you can't eat chametz 6 hours before Pesach. From the rabbis, some people say even 7 hours you can't. Right? In other words, from the 5th hour. We're talking about 5th hour from the raising of the sun. And Rabbi Gamliel says even from the 4th hour you can't eat. He says the 4th hour, in other words, 4 hours after the sun rises. Let's say, for instance, the sun rises at 6 o'clock. So from 6 to 7, that's the 1st hour. 7 to 8 is the 2nd hour. 8 to 9 is the 3rd hour. And 9 to 10 is the 4th hour. So according to him, only from the 4th hour are you allowed, from 9 to 10 o'clock, are you allowed to eat chametz. You have to stop eating chametz at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's supposing that the day and the night are exactly equal. Each hour is exactly 60 minutes of the time. Okay, so from 8 to 9, you can eat chametz. From 9 to 10, you can eat chametz, then you have to stop. That's what Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, that regular chametz, you have to stop eating at 10 o'clock. Truma, you have another hour. You can eat from 10 to 11. Our Mishnah is coming to tell us that all the time that it's permissible for a Kohen to eat Truma, namely the 5th hour, like we said, from 10 to 11, it's permissible for a Jew to get pleasure. He can't eat it, but he can get pleasure. He can feed his chametz to his animal. In other words, that even though that a Jew cannot eat it, but it's still he can get pleasure from it. The Nachta Mishnah, Machil behema, that what it says he can feed his behema to his chaya and his ophos. It's really extra to say. Just say it's permissible with pleasure. Why? He says, no, tells us all these 3 details, lashmi'enu, to let us know, shemutar, that it is permissible, lachil lebehema, that you can give to your animal to eat, even though that an animal, it's a big novelty, an animal usually leaves things over. An animal doesn't devour everything you give him. The yesh chashash, and there's a worry, maybe yasiach dato, you'll remove your mind from the animals. You've got other things to do, Erev Pesach, and you'll leave the chametz there. You'll remove your mind from getting rid of these extra leftovers of the chametz. So that's a worry. It's a transgression not only to eat chametz and not only to get pleasure from chametz. It's forbidden even to possess chametz. Even if you don't eat it and you don't get any pleasure from it, it's a transgression. You can't lo yireh, bal yireh, bal yimotze. You're not allowed to own it. So you put all of your cookies in front of your cow, and your cow eats all of the cookies except for one, leaves it over. Well, that cookie is still yours. The cow did not take possession of these cookies. It's yours. If so, the cow is going to leave over this cookie, and when the sixth hour comes in, you're going to be transgressing from the Torah. Don't we worry about that? He says, no, we don't worry. Rabbi Shimon Gam doesn't worry. Yeah. But Cain also, it's mutter to give. So that's the novelty why it says you can give it to your behema. Also, it says you can give it to a chaya. What's a chaya? A chaya is like a deer or something like that you have. Or it could be also talking about here, a chaya is talking about your pet dog. Could be. Usually speaking, a chaya is a permissible animal. A permissible animal like a deer or an antelope, but not too many people have those. So here it be talking about the chaya. Could be your pet around your house. You have a pet dog, you have a pet. Even though at the shirayim, even though that a dog and things like that, they might hide. You give him 100 cookies, it could be that he'll hide some of the cookies away. The enu roatam, you won't see them in order to get rid of them. Because it says you can, that we permit you to feed your behema, even though behema might leave some over, and a chaya, even though chaya might hide some of your chometz. Therefore, it also just puts ofot, just puts the word you can give it to your birds, just adds it in. And you can also sell it to a non-Jew. What's the novelty here? It's permissible to sell your chometz to a non-Jew all the time that it's permissible to get pleasure from. Even if you know that this non-Jew is going to eat the chometz on Passover. And the Gemara explains that since that Beit Shammai says that a person should not sell his chometz to a non-Jew unless he is sure that the non-Jew will eat it before Pesach. The law is not like that. And that according to the opinion of the pupils of Shammai, that's Beit Shammai, the pupils of Shammai, the mitzvah to get rid of all of your chometz from the world and not that it should exist. In other words, it is upon you to completely eradicate any chometz that belongs to you. Therefore, our Mishna is coming to tell us that the law is not like Beit Shammai. You don't have to worry. You can sell it to a non-Jew, even though the non-Jew might keep it the whole entire Pesach. And that's, of course, what we do. Umuter ba'anato, and it is permissible to get pleasure from this chometz. And the Gemara explains that im charach et the chometz, that if you burn the chometz in fire before it becomes forbidden, and you burn it so much that you don't turn it into ashes, but it gets so burned up, it's like charcoal. It ruins the taste of it and also the appearance. So you can't see anymore that it's chometz. Mutter, it's permissible to get pleasure even after the time it's forbidden. It's no longer considered to be chometz. It's not edible. Let's go back to the Mishnah and see what this is here. Over Zamano, right? That's what we said over here. It's from the Mishnah. Over Zamano, if the time of eating chometz and getting pleasure has passed, Asur ba'anaso, you can't get any pleasure from it. You cannot use it as fuel for your oven and for your cooking. What's this coming to tell us? Let's see. Over Zamano, if the time has passed, the time of eating, namely at the beginning, from the Torah, at the beginning of the 6th hour, the Torah time, then it's forbidden to get pleasure, even though that from the Torah, chametz is not pleasure, is not forbidden to get pleasure from, except in the seventh hour, after midday. Right? What would the sixth hour be? The sixth hour would be from 11 until 12. That would be the sixth hour. What's the seventh hour? The seventh hour is after 12, after midday. But nevertheless, the Chachamim made a decree that it would be forbidden to get pleasure from the 11th hour in order to keep a person away from an Isser of the Torah. And the Gemara explains that this prohibition of getting pleasure from the sixth hour, in other words, from 11 o'clock till 12, this is the same thing. Do you know, it's the same thing as getting pleasure as being forbidden from the seventh hour and up. What does it mean it's forbidden? As soon as that becomes forbidden in pleasure, it means that chametz is not yours anymore. If a man, for instance, he is mekadesh a woman for the sixth hour and up. Okay, according to Torah, the way that a man marries a woman is one of three ways. The most common way is that he gives her money or a ring, and also you write a document for the wedding. But the main thing is you give her money. If you, according to Torah law, if you're speaking to a woman, you go up to a woman on the street. Are you Jewish? Yes, you are. Are you married? No, I'm not. You give her $1 and you say, with this $1, you are married to me. And she accepts it. That's it. They're married. That's the law. Strange law, but that's the law. She is married to you. If you want to say, okay, I was just kidding around, you have to give her a bill of divorce. True, you're supposed to have, there's really a lot more is required than that. There's supposed to be witnesses and there's supposed to be blessings and things like that. But that's the main law. What if you meet a woman in the street and you say, oh, we talked about getting married. Remember? She said, yeah, I was wondering when you were going to call me up. And it says, listen, my phone broke. What can I do? Here, you know what? Listen, I don't have any money with me and I'm really in a hurry, but I'll tell you what. Take this cake. The cake is worth $10. You are married to me with this cake. Oh, she said, thank you. She's blushing bright. She's so happy, right? The rabbi says, excuse me, Shmerel, what did you just do over there? Why'd you give her this chametz? Says, no, it's not chametz. It's just a cake I gave to her. And we're married. Say mazel tov, Rabbi. Say congratulations. What type of congratulations? You're not married. You're not nothing. You gave her this cake after the sixth hour. It's forbidden. You can't get any pleasure from it. You can't get any pleasure. That cake is no longer worth anything to you. Exactly the opposite. It's a big sin. So therefore, im kadesh bo'isha, if you try to marry a woman from the sixth hour and up, in other words, not after midday, after 11 o'clock, even b'chametz she'enu aser ela midrabanan, even if it's chametz that's only forbidden from the rabbis, we'll learn what type of chametz that is later. It's something that hasn't completely puffed up. Then in choshishin l'kedusha, you don't have to suspect at all this woman is married. She can get married to somebody else. There's no problem whatsoever. She doesn't need a bill of divorce. It's absolutely nothing whatsoever. You have given her absolutely nothing. Therefore, the chametz that is after the 11th hour, after 11 o'clock, right, in what we call the sixth hour, from 11 to 12, you can't use it. You can't marry a woman with it. You can't even use it as fuel for a fire. Even according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that he says, which we're going to learn in the next Mishnah, that the beer, in this end of this Mishnah, that the only way that you can get rid of your chametz is by burning it. And here I'm burning it. I'm putting it in my oven, right? Good. It happens to be 11 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm putting it in my oven and I want to cook a potato. That's okay, right? Isn't it? It says, no, you're using chametz. You cannot get any pleasure from that chametz at all, even though you're burning it. And at the simultaneously, as you burn it, you're getting rid of it. It says, but you're still getting pleasure from the fact that it was there. It's forbidden to get pleasure from the fire that is made from chametz that you put inside of your oven. even though that you're doing the mitzvah of burning up your chametz, right? You can't. So when you go out and burn your chametz, don't roast a potato over it, a marshmallow. I don't know if there's a kosher the Pesach marshmallow, but if there is, don't roast it over your fire. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Ein bir chometz ela sreifa." Rabbi Yehuda says the only way that you can get rid of your chometz is by burning it. Shalamdim chometz min noisar. They learn this idea of getting rid of your chometz from what's called noisar. What's noisar? Noisar is a sacrifice that was supposed to be eaten and you left over food. You didn't eat it. The time of eating the sacrifice, there's certain sacrifices that are to be eaten also. At least portions of them have to be eaten. You're supposed to eat it. Sometimes it's within 1 day, sometimes within 2 days. But in any case, let's say you left over the meat of the sacrifice. So it says that has to be burned. It says, "B'nosar b'eish yisrofu." It says that you have to burn it. So this is, we learn getting rid of chametz. Rabbi Yehuda at least learns getting rid of chametz from what it says about leftover sacrifices. Bal tosiru dinner, you have to burn it. Also chametz, which is bal tosiru, you can't leave it over. You transgress it with chametz. If you leave it over, bal yirah, bal yamatzeh, like we said before, you have to burn it. So Rabbi Yehuda says. The Chachamim do not agree with him. The Chachamim, they say, and we'll have to continue this tomorrow. The Chachamim say that you don't have to burn it. You can get rid of it any way that it's not usable anymore. You can crush it up and throw it into the wind. Zoreal, you can throw it. The Gemara, there's a big argument between the Amoraim exactly what is being said over here. Rabbah explains that when it says that you can crush it up and throw it to the wind, this refers to both of them. What does it mean, crush it up? Whether you throw it into the wind or whether you throw it into the sea, that first of all, you have to crush it up first. That's what Rabbah says. But Rav Yosef says no, that if you crush it up and throw it into the wind, or if you throw the chametz into the river, into the ocean, without crushing it up, then that's okay. In other words, that's what it says mefarer in the Mishna, that you have to crush it up. This only refers to throwing it into the wind. But nevertheless, they're not arguing about throwing it into the rivers. But if you throw it into when do they argue if you have to crush it up or not, is if you throw it into a river. But if you throw it into the Yam HaMelech, the salt sea, what do they call it, the Dead Sea, then everyone agrees that you don't have to crush it up. There's this term about, right, Shochel Yam HaMelech, throwing things in the Dead Sea. The reason the Chachamim that they disagree with, because when you throw it into the sea, it's salty, the salt eats everything up. The reason for the Chachamim that they disagree with Rabbi Yehuda is because it says about nosar, v'sarafta the nosar ba'esh. It says you have to burn it. V'sarfu ba'esh, that you have to burn it up in fire. Now the Buah Kasuva comes to say that after it's burned up, a nosar b'sreifa, ain't called isurim shebatorah b'sreifa. Some people say no, exactly the opposite. that what it comes to tell you, that nosar, leftover sacrifices, have to be burned. Some people say this is a general principle for everything that you have to destroy, it has to be burning. Others say no, exactly the opposite. Because it tells you by a leftover sacrifice that you have to burn it, it means that specifically leftover sacrifices you have to and call isurim shebatorah b'sreifa. You don't have to burn everything even the chametz is the other sreifa. So there's an argument between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim as far as burning the offer. Do you have to burn it, or is it good enough just to throw it into the sea or not? The argument is how you interpret this pasuk about noisar. If leftover sacrifices must be burned, the fact that leftover sacrifices must be burned, can we apply that to all other things that must be destroyed in the Torah? For instance, idolatry. Do you have to burn it? Or is it good enough just to crush it up? That's our argument. And we'll continue this, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you for coming. God bless you, and have a good day with Mashiach. Now, I hope to see you tomorrow, 8:15 in the morning. We continue our beautiful mimer that we're learning.